What's up guys, Starlink here. So today's video is going to deviate a little bit from what I originally had planned, as that video still needs a little bit of time to sit in the oven. So in the meantime, I figured why not share with you guys one of my recent trips to a store that I love to hunt for video games at. Yes, today we're going to talk about a little game store known as eStarland. And hey, it even has star in the name, so it must have been destined to talk about it eventually, right? Anyways, enjoy. eStarland is a magical place filled to the brim with video games, figures, and other collectibles. And being based in Virginia, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump to get there for me personally, taking about 45 minutes to be exact. It's a place that I frequent often when I'm looking for games, as it has a wide selection to choose from, spanning many generations. I get the same feeling that I used to get walking into a Funko-Land as a kid back in the day, only eStarland is much bigger and better. It's the kind of place that you enter and get lost in the wave of nostalgia that hits you as you browse games and consoles from your past, and maybe even discover something new along the way. Every time I enter this place, I always tell myself that I'm just going to browse for a little bit, maybe pick up a few games on the cheap, and I always end up finding something really cool and spending a little bit more than I expected in the end. I've been on a recent kick lately of beefing up my handheld game collection because, to be honest with you, it's rather small. And of course, lo and behold, as I'm browsing eStarland's wares one day, I stumble upon a GBA SP AGS 101 model. Now these tend to sell out really quickly, so I ended up picking it up, no questions asked, and I'm glad that I did in the end. I always wanted one, and I recently discovered a dead pixel on my original SP that drove me nuts anyway, so I felt that this purchase was justifiable. It was a little worse for wear at first with a bent pin in the cartridge slot, but with a little TLC and a 1-up cleaning cart later, it was as good as new. And man, people aren't lying when they say how great this screen looks. It truly is a night and day difference.
Old and busted, new hotness.
And that's another thing that I'd like to mention. There's a certain layer of quality you can expect from eStarland. Buying any used game there, whether it be complete or not, cartridge or disc, it's almost guaranteed to be in great shape. That means no torn labels or a bunch of noticeable scratches left on discs, at least from my experience anyway, as I've bought many games from them without any issues in the past. They also reseal games as well, so when you buy a used game complete, it almost feels like buying it brand new. Consoles themselves are categorized into grades of quality. Grade B usually means that the console is not in the best shape visually, but works fine otherwise, where Grade A means it's in great shape, both visually and performance-wise. For reference, the GBA SP I mentioned earlier was a Grade B. Grade B is cheaper than Grade A, but sometimes there could be drawbacks, so be aware of that before you purchase. I should also mention that if you're into collecting imports for the Sega Saturn, eStarland seems to love it too, as there is a huge selection to be found here. They even sell region mod consoles or even do the conversion to your own for a price, so it's definitely a good place to check out if you're in the market for Saturn imports. I'm still new to the Saturn collecting scene myself, so feel free to make any recommendations in the comments. This is a console that I sadly never got to enjoy in my youth, so I'm having a blast discovering the games that I missed out on. I've been collecting for the Saturn lately thanks to having a modified console I picked up about 2 years ago that's capable of playing both backup discs and imports, courtesy of Rocker Gaming. It was money well spent too, considering how pricey Saturn games go for nowadays. If you're curious to see the origins of how I acquired this Saturn, I'll leave a link to Rocker's video in the description. He did an amazing job. It's almost as if he pulled it out of the dumpster somewhere and breathed new life into it. Seriously, you won't believe your eyes when you see how bad it originally looked. I'd also like to thank both DGC and Your Player 2. If it wasn't for these two people and their respective videos, I may never have discovered Rocker or purchased a Saturn in the first place. So thanks for that, guys. It's a decision that I don't regret one bit, I assure you. Anyways, with that said, eStarland is a great place to visit if you're ever in the market for some awesome retro games, accessories, imports, figures, and other gaming goodness. There's even some arcade machines set up to play with as well if you're interested. It's the kind of place you can just walk into and have a good time simply browsing. They have an online store set up as well, which I suggest you check out if you're at all curious. There's so much stuff there that they can't have it all on display at once, which is why they have computers in store handy to find that particular item that you're looking for. So if you're ever in Virginia in the Chantilly area and are looking for an awesome local gaming store, make sure you stop by eStarland. It's a place I highly recommend visiting at least once, and you're bound to have a good time searching for games and other collectibles. Who knows? Maybe you'll end up finding that one game you've been looking for and you don't even realize it yet. So of course I ended up picking up a couple things on my recent trip to eStarland, one of them being an official PS2 controller so I could finally get rid of this piece of third-party garbage. I mean, just listen to this. This is the X button. Yeah, it feels as bad as it sounds, trust me. So yeah, in you go. But anyways, I'm really happy with this because it looks like it's brand new and it feels great. Plus, it's a matching color for my PS2 Slim, so that's nice. And I also snagged up a copy of Rockman X4 on the Sega Saturn. Now this game was taunting me the entire time I was there browsing through the store. It kept on saying, buy me, you know you want to, and I eventually caved in at 45 bucks. Now granted, that's a little pricey as far as Saturn imports go, but it's still a spit in the bucket compared to what the US version of this game goes for nowadays. Where is it floating around now? Probably like 200, 300 bucks? It's crazy. But regardless, doesn't the cover art look amazing on this? I mean, maybe it's just me because I have a soft spot for this game in particular, but I think it looks great. And plus, it's the Japanese release, so there's some differences here and there. And also, that one famous scene with Zero still sounds hilarious. It doesn't matter what language it's in. But as always guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, and if not, drop a dislike. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Reach for the stars.
俺は一体何のために戦っているんだ